The smell hit Bresk first. A bitter, burning smell that made his silver skin turn pale and his 4 hearts beat faster. He knew that smell. Every Palaxian child learned to fear it. It was the smell of Karath root, a poison so deadly that even breathing its vapor could stop a heart. But that was impossible. Karath root was banned in 37 star systems. No one would dare bring it on a Harmony. 9. Bresk turned slowly, hoping he was wrong. He was not wrong. The human sat alone at a corner table in the commissary. His name was Daniel Reeves, and he had arrived on the station 6 weeks ago to work as an engineer. Bresk had been assigned to help him adjust to station life. The human seemed nice enough. Quiet, polite, always tired from working too many shifts, and now he was drinking poison. The dark liquid steamed in a white cup. Daniel lifted it to his lips and took a long sip. His eyes closed briefly, and he made a small sound of satisfaction. Then he returned to reading something on his tablet, completely unaware that he had just swallowed death. Bresk stood frozen. His training told him to call for help. His fear told him to run. His confusion told him that none of this made sense. Karath root killed in seconds. The human should already be convulsing on the floor. Instead, Daniel took another sip. Bresk finally found his voice. He activated his communicator with shaking hands. Medical emergency in Commissary 7. The human has been poisoned. Repeat, the human has been poisoned. Send help immediately. Daniel looked up at the sound of Bresk's panicked voice. He frowned and set down his cup. Bresk? What's wrong? You look terrible. Don't move, Bresk said, rushing toward him. Help is coming. Try to stay calm. Stay calm about what? The commissary doors burst open. Physician Telmori entered at a run, followed by 3 medical assistants carrying emergency equipment. The tall Palaxian doctor pushed past other diners, knocking over chairs. His compound eyes focused on Daniel with professional intensity. Where's the poison? Telmori demanded. What did he consume? Bresk pointed at the cup. That. He drank that. Telmori grabbed the cup and sniffed it. He recoiled as if struck. Impossible. This concentration would kill a Viridian bull. He turned to Daniel with an expression of deep sorrow. Human, I am so sorry. We will do everything we can to ease your passing. Daniel stared at him. My what? You have been poisoned, Telmori explained gently. The toxin is already in your system. Based on the amount you consumed, you have perhaps 5 minutes before complete neural shutdown. That's coffee, Daniel said. Telmori exchanged a confused look with his assistants. I did not understand. Coffee. Coffee. From Earth. It's a drink. I have it every morning. Daniel reached for his cup, but Telmori pulled it away. Hey, that's mine. You're clearly experiencing cognitive decline from the toxin. Telmori nodded to his assistants. Sedate him and prepare for emergency neural preservation. We may be able to save his brain patterns if we act quickly. I don't need to be sedated. I need my coffee. The human is fighting the toxin. Remarkable. Telmori loaded a sedative into an injector. Your bravery will be remembered. Wait, don't. The injector pressed against Daniel's neck. His eyes rolled back, and he slumped in his chair. The medical team immediately lifted him onto a hover stretcher and rushed toward the doors. Bresk followed, his heart still pounding. Around them, the commissary had fallen silent. Dozens of aliens from a dozen species watched the unconscious human being carried away. Many of them had seen Daniel drink from that cup before. None of them had understood what they were witnessing. Telmori activated a station-wide communication channel as they moved through the corridors. Attention all residents. A toxic contamination event has occurred in Commissary 7. The affected area is being sealed. All beings who may have been exposed should report to medical facilities immediately. Alarms began to sound. Lights flashed yellow along the corridor walls. Station security personnel appeared, directing confused residents away from the commissary sector. In the midst of the chaos, Bresk looked down at Daniel's peaceful face. The human was still breathing. His color was normal. He showed no signs of the violent death that should have claimed him minutes ago. Something was very wrong. Or perhaps something was very strange. Bresk had read the files on humans when Daniel first arrived. The files were thin. Humans were new to the galactic community. No one knew much about them, except that they came from a small blue planet on the edge of explored space. But Bresk was beginning to suspect that the galaxy did not know nearly enough to IT the medical bay. Commander Yorith was waiting. The Coluvian leader's scaled face showed concern as the team rushed past. "Report," she demanded. "The human has been poisoned," Telmori said. "Massive dose of a caffeine-based compound. Fatal concentration. He should be dead already." Yorith looked at Daniel's body. The human's chest rose and fell steadily. "He does not appear to be dying." "No," Telmori admitted. "He does not, and I have no explanation for why." They placed Daniel on a medical bed. Scanners hummed as they mapped his internal systems. Telmori studied the readings with growing disbelief. "This is impossible," the physician whispered. "What is it?" Yorith asked. "His body is processing the toxin, breaking it down, using it." Telmori turned to face the commander. "I believe the human is metabolizing the poison as if it were food." Yorith stared at the sleeping human. In her long career, she had seen many strange things, but she had never seen anything like this. "What exactly?" she asked slowly. "Have we invited onto this station?" No one had an answer. 12 hours had passed since Daniel Reeves should have died. Telmori had not left the medical bay. He stood before a wall of holographic displays, each one showing a different aspect of the human's biology. Heart rate, normal. Brain activity, normal. Organ function, normal. Toxin levels, decreasing steadily. None of it made sense. The sedative had worn off 2 hours ago. Daniel was awake now, sitting up on his medical bed with restraints around his wrists. He had tried to remove them 3 times already. Each time, a medical assistant gently pushed him back down. "Can someone please explain what's happening?" Daniel asked for the 20th time. Telmori turned away from his displays. "You were poisoned, human. We saved your life. You kidnapped me because I was drinking coffee. That liquid contained enough caffeine to kill every being in this medical bay. Your survival is medically impossible." Daniel sighed. "It's not impossible. Humans drink coffee all the time. It helps us wake up in the morning. You consume poison to increase alertness. It's not poison to us. It's just a drink." Telmori's compound eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme confusion among his species. "The compound caffeine is classified as a class 3 restricted substance in Palaxian space. It causes cardiac arrest in most oxygen-breathing species. We have executed criminals using smaller doses than what you consumed." Daniel went quiet for a moment. "You use coffee as an execution method? We use caffeine. The delivery mechanism varies." "That's..." Daniel shook his head. "Okay, look, I understand this is confusing for you, but I promise I'm not in danger. Humans have been drinking coffee for thousands of years. Our bodies are designed to handle it. No body is designed to handle poison. Human bodies are." The medical bay doors opened. Commander Yorith entered, followed by a young Palaxian that Daniel recognized as Bresk. The assistant looked guilty and would not meet Daniel's eyes. "Physician Telmori," Yorith said, "what is the human's current status?" "Stable. Inexplicably stable." Telmori pulled up a new display. "I have run every scan available. The human's biology is fundamentally different from any species in our database. His liver contains enzymes that break down caffeine into harmless components. His nervous system has receptors specifically designed to interact with the compound. Receptors designed for poison." Yorith asked. "It appears so. Commander, I believe humans may have evolved to consume toxic substances. I cannot explain why or how, but the evidence is clear." Yorith turned to Daniel. "Human, is this true?" Daniel shrugged, which was difficult with his wrists restrained. "I don't know about evolved for it. But yeah, humans eat and drink a lot of stuff that might hurt other species. Coffee is pretty mild compared to some things. There are worse things than caffeine. We have a drink called alcohol, and foods that burn your mouth on purpose. And we eat fungi that grow on dead things, and fermented milk products that smell like feet." Telmori made a sound that might have been distress. Yorith studied Daniel for a long moment. The Coluvian's scaled face was difficult to read, but something shifted in her eyes. Release the restraints. Commander, Telmori protested. We do not fully understand. I understand enough. The human is not dying. The human does not appear to be in distress. The human has been cooperative despite being sedated and restrained against his will. Yorit's voice carried the weight of command. We have treated a guest of this station like a prisoner because we did not understand his biology. That is our failure, not his. The restraints clicked open. Daniel rubbed his wrists and sat up properly. Thank you, he said. Do not thank me yet. Yorit moved closer. Human, I need you to understand something. This station houses 47 species. Many of them have never encountered a human before. What happened in the commissary has already spread through the station's communication networks. Everyone knows that you survived drinking what should have killed you. Great, Daniel muttered. Some will fear you. Others will be curious. A few may become hostile. You must be prepared for this. Because I like coffee. Because you have revealed something that the galaxy was not ready to learn. Humans are not like other species. You come from a world that produces poisons as casual beverages. This raises questions about what else humans can survive. Daniel had not thought about it that way. To him, coffee was just coffee, a normal part of every morning since he was 15 years old. He had never considered that other species might see it differently. I didn't mean to cause problems, he said quietly. Yorit's expression softened slightly. I know, and I do not blame you for what happened. But I need your help. I need you to work with physician Telmori to document human biology properly. I need you to explain your species to us so that we can avoid future misunderstandings. And if I refuse, then the next human who arrives on this station may face the same treatment you did. Or worse. Daniel thought about that. He thought about some other human engineer showing up for their first day of work and getting sedated because they ate a chocolate bar. He thought about fears spreading through the galaxy because no one understood what humans actually were. Okay, he said. I'll help. Yorit nodded. Good. Brest will assist you. The young Palaxian finally looked up. His silver face showed relief mixed with lingering guilt. I am sorry, Brest said. I thought you were dying. I only wanted to save you. Daniel managed a tired smile. I know. It's okay. You were trying to help. He paused. But next time, maybe ask before calling in the emergency team. Brest nodded quickly. I will. I promise. Telmori stepped forward, his professional curiosity overcoming his earlier shock. Human, I have many questions. Yeah, Daniel said. I figured you might. He looked around the medical bay at the aliens who had genuinely believed they were watching him die. They had been wrong, but their concern had been real. Maybe this place was not so bad after all. All right, Daniel said. Where do you want to start? Telmori brought up a new display. Tell me about this thing you called alcohol. Daniel laughed. IT was going to be a long day. Someone had found the chocolate. Daniel stood in his quarters, staring at the empty drawer where he had kept his emergency supplies. 3 bars of dark chocolate. Gone. In their place was a hazardous materials containment unit with flashing yellow lights. The station's automated voice spoke from the ceiling. Resident Reeves, you are requested in Commander Yorit's office immediately. Please do not attempt to retrieve the confiscated materials. Daniel closed his eyes and counted to 10. It had been 4 days since the coffee incident. 4 days of medical tests and interviews and aliens staring at him in corridors. He had hoped things were settling down. Apparently not. That he walked through the station toward the command section. As always, other beings moved aside when they saw him coming. Some watched with fear. Others watched with curiosity. A few small creatures actually hid behind larger ones as he passed. Daniel tried not to take it personally that Yorit's office was large and filled with plants from her homeworld. The Coluvian commander sat behind a curved desk made of something that looked like polished bone. Telmori stood to one side, holding a tablet. Brest stood to the other side, trying to become invisible. And on the desk, sealed in a transparent container, sat Daniel's chocolate. Human, Yorit said. Please explain. Daniel sat in the chair provided for him. It's chocolate, a food made from beans that grow on Earth. Humans eat it for pleasure. Physician Telmori has analyzed the contents. Yorit's voice was calm, but there was something underneath it. Something between disbelief and resignation. Please share your findings, physician. Telmori consulted his tablet. The substance contains theobromine, a compound closely related to caffeine. It also contains trace amounts of caffeine itself, along with sugar, fat, and various flavor compounds. The theobromine concentration is sufficient to cause fatal cardiac events in most mammalian species. Most mammalian species, Daniel repeated, but not humans. Apparently not. Telmori set down his tablet. Human, I have studied your species for 4 days now. Every time I think I understand the limits of your toxin resistance, you reveal something new. How is any of this possible? Daniel leaned back in his chair. He had thought about this question a lot recently. How to explain something so normal to beings who found it terrifying. On Earth, he began, life is competitive. Very competitive. Plants evolved to produce chemicals that would hurt anything trying to eat them. Animals evolved to handle those chemicals. The plants made stronger chemicals. The animals got better at processing them. This went on for millions of years. A biological arms race. Yorith said, exactly. Humans are the result of that race. Our ancestors learned to eat things that killed other creatures. It gave them an advantage. Over time, those abilities became part of our basic biology. Telmori's compound eyes shifted colors. You are saying that your entire species evolved to consume poison. Not just consume. We seek it out. Caffeine makes us alert. Theobromine makes us feel good. Capsaicin, the chemical that makes food spicy, releases pleasure compounds in our brains. We deliberately eat things that hurt us because our bodies reward us for surviving. The room fell silent. Bresk spoke first. That is the most frightening thing I have ever heard. Daniel smiled slightly. I know. I'm sorry. But this is what humans are. We come from a world where everything is trying to kill everything else. We adapted. Yorith picked up the container of chocolate. She examined it through the transparent sides, her scaled face thoughtful. This substance, you say, makes you feel good. Yes. How good? It depends on the person. Some humans become almost addicted to it. They need it every day. Daniel paused. Actually, I'm one of those people. I really would like my chocolate back. Yorith set the container down. You understand that I cannot simply release hazardous materials onto my station. It's only hazardous to non-humans. Most of this station is non-human. Daniel acknowledged the point with a nod. Fair enough. But Commander, you can't keep confiscating everything I eat. At some point, you have to accept that human food is human food. I promise I won't share it with anyone. Telmori made an unhappy sound. The station's food suppliers did not know they were importing dangerous substances. When they learned what coffee actually was, 3 of them filed formal complaints. One requested compensation for emotional distress. Because they sold me coffee. Because they unknowingly distributed poison. The legal complications are significant. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands. He was tired, not just from the past few days, but from being treated like a walking biohazard. He had come to Harmony 9 to do engineering work, not to become the center of an interspecies incident. What do you want from me? He asked. Yorith considered him for a long moment. I want to understand. I have spent my career managing relations between species. I have dealt with cultural conflicts, dietary restrictions, religious prohibitions, and biological incompatibilities. But I have never encountered anything like you. I'm just one human. No, you're the first human most beings on this station have ever met. What they learn about your species, they learn from you. Right now, they're learning that humans are poison-resistant predators from a death world. They are frightened. I don't know how to make them less frightened. Neither do I. Yorith pushed the chocolate container toward him. Take your food. Keep it secured. Do not consume it in public spaces. The same rules apply to your coffee and anything else that might cause concern. Daniel took the container. Thank you. Do not thank me. I am managing a crisis that I do not fully understand. Yorith stood. However, I will tell you this. Chief Engineer Nalia has spoken well of your work. She says you are skilled and reliable. Whatever else you are also a valuable member of this station's crew. I will not forget that. Daniel felt something ease in his chest. It was not much, but it was something. Someone here appreciated him for more than his terrifying biology. I'll try to keep a low profile, he said. I doubt that will be possible. Yorit's voice carried a hint of dry humor. But I appreciate the effort. Daniel left the office with his chocolate. In the corridor outside, Bresk fell in a step beside him. That went better than I expected, the young Palaxian said. Did it? The commander did not confine you to quarters. That was one of the options being discussed. Daniel stopped walking. They were thinking about locking me up. Some members of the station council wanted to. They said you were a danger to public safety. Because I eat chocolate. Bresk's silver face shifted in a way that might have been a shrug. Because you can eat chocolate. Because you can drink coffee. Because no one knows what else you can survive. He paused. They are not wrong to be cautious. But I think they are wrong to be afraid. Why? Because I have watched you for 6 weeks. You are kind. You work hard. You help people without being asked. Whatever your biology makes you capable of, you choose to be good. Daniel did not know what to say to that. He stood in the corridor, holding his chocolate, feeling something complicated move through him. Thanks, Bresk, he finally managed. You are welcome. The Palaxian gestured down the corridor. Kulme, I will walk with you to your quarters. People are less frightened when they see us together. Daniel followed. Maybe things would be okay after all. Nalia had never understood why humans slept so much. The Viridian chief engineer stood outside Daniel's quarters, waiting for him to answer the door. She had already pressed the alert 3 times. By Viridian standards, this was excessive. Her species required only 2 hours of rest per cycle, and even that felt wasteful. Humans apparently needed 8 hours. Sometimes more. The door finally opened. Daniel stood there in rumpled clothes, his hair pointing in several directions. His eyes were only half open. Nalia? What time is it? 3rd quarter of the 2nd cycle. I need you in engineering. Daniel blinked slowly. His brain was clearly not yet working. What's wrong? Nothing is wrong. I want to show you something. It took Daniel several seconds to process this. You woke me up to show me something? Yes. Get dressed. Bring coffee if you require it. She turned and walked away without waiting for a response. Behind her, she heard Daniel make a sound that might have been frustration or might have been acceptance. Humans made so many sounds. 10 minutes later, Daniel appeared in engineering, holding a sealed container of coffee. He had managed to make himself presentable, though his eyes still looked tired. The other engineers on duty pointedly looked away as he entered. They had learned not to stare. Nalia led him to her private workstation in the back of the department. Holographic displays surrounded the desk, showing system diagrams and maintenance schedules. But that was not what she wanted to share. She pulled up a document and turned the display toward Daniel. Read this. Daniel leaned closer. His expression shifted from confusion to surprise to something Nalia could not identify. This is about Earth, he said. Yes, I requested the full Galactic survey report on your homeworld. It arrived yesterday, and you read it. I read it 7 times. Nalia's bioluminescent markings pulsed blue, a sign of intense focus among her species. Human, your planet is classified as Category 12. Do you know what that means? Daniel shook his head. The Galactic survey uses a scale from Category 1 to Category 15 to rate planetary danger levels. Category 1 is a dead world with no hazards. Category 15 is theoretical, a world so hostile that no known life could survive there. Nalia pointed at the display. Earth is Category 12. Only 18 worlds in the known galaxy have that rating. I don't understand. Earth is normal. To you perhaps. But look at the data. Nalia highlighted different sections of the report. Your gravity is 1.2 times the galactic average. Your sun emits high levels of ultraviolet radiation. Your atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is extremely reactive. Your planet experiences extreme temperature variations, violent weather events, and regular geological upheavals. Daniel was staring at the display now. That's just Earth. There's more. Your world hosts an estimated 8 million species, most of which are engaged in predation, parasitism, or competition. Diseases evolve rapidly. Predators exist in every environment. Even your plants contain toxic compounds as standard biological defense. I know about the plants. That came up with the chocolate thing. Nalia turned to face him directly. Her gray-blue skin caught the light from the displays. Human, I have worked with engineers from 14 different species. I consider myself experienced with biological diversity. But I did not understand what you were until I read this report. What am I? A survivor. Your entire species evolved on a world that should not support intelligent life. Every generation of your ancestors faced death from radiation, disease, predation, climate, and each other. The ones who survived passed their strength to their children. Millions of years of this process created you. Daniel sat down slowly. He looked at his coffee container as if seeing it for the first time. I never thought of it that way, he admitted. Earth is just home. It's where I grew up, where my family lives. I know it can be dangerous, but so is everywhere. No, Nalia's voice was firm. Not everywhere. My homeworld is Category 3. The most dangerous thing, there is a mild fungal infection that causes skin irritation. I have never faced a predator. I have never experienced extreme weather. I have never worried about disease killing me before medicine could help. That sounds nice. It sounds boring. Nalia made a sound that might have been a laugh. I chose engineering because I wanted challenges. I wanted to solve difficult problems and push my limits. But my limits are nothing compared to what you face every day just by existing. Daniel did not respond immediately. He seemed to be thinking about something far away. My sister broke her arm when she was 12, he finally said. She fell out of a tree. Our parents were upset, but not panicked. Broken bones heal. It's normal. Broken bones are not normal. Falling from trees is not normal. Nalia shook her head. Your species has normalized survival from injuries that would permanently disable most beings. I guess we had to. If we stopped every time something hurt us, we would have died out long ago. Yes, and that is exactly my point. Nalia pulled up another section of the report. When you arrived on the station, I thought you were soft. Humans seemed weak compared to other species. No natural weapons. No protective shield. No venom or camouflage. I wonder how your species had survived long enough to reach space. A lot of people wonder that. Now I know the answer. You survived because you could not afford to die. Your world gave you no choice. Every human alive today is descended from ancestors who looked death in the face and refused to accept it. Nalia's markings pulsed brighter. That is not weakness. That is strength I cannot even imagine. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Thank you for showing me this. I showed you because you needed to understand how others see you. The beings on this station are frightened because they do not know what you are capable of. But fear can become respect if given time. Nalia stood. You have been hiding, avoiding common areas, eating alone. This must stop. I didn't want to scare anyone. You will scare them more by hiding. It makes you seem dangerous. Unknown. Nalia gestured toward the door. Come to the engineering common room tonight. Share a meal with the team. Let them see that you are just a person who happens to drink poison for breakfast. Daniel almost smiled. Is that how I should introduce myself? Is how they already think of you. You cannot change that, but you can show them that there is more to you than survival. Daniel stood and picked up his coffee. He looked at the Galactic survey report one more time, at the long list of hazards that made up his homeworld. Category 12, he murmured. Yes, the same category as volcanic moons and radiation belts. Nalia's voice carried something that might have been admiration. And your species built cities there, raised families, created art and music and science. You made it home. We didn't have anywhere else to go. Perhaps, but you could have simply survived. Instead, you thrived. Nalia opened the door. Now go back to your quarters and rest. You humans need so much sleep. I will see you tonight. Daniel walked out into the corridor. Behind him, Nalia returned to her work. But she found it hard to concentrate. She kept thinking about a category, 12 world full of creatures who drank poison and broke bones and faced death every day, and called it normal. 3 weeks after the coffee incident, the water systems failed. Daniel was eating lunch in the engineering common room when the alarm started. Red lights flashed along the walls. The station's automated voice announced contamination protocols. Around him, engineers dropped their food and ran for their stations. Nalia appeared on the main display. Her bioluminescent markings were flashing red, a sign of extreme stress. All engineering personnel to Sector 12. Water reclamation has been compromised. This is not a drill. Daniel followed the others. The corridors were chaos. Station security directed civilians away from the affected areas. Medical teams moved in the opposite direction, their equipment floating behind them on hover carts. Sector 12 was sealed behind thick blast doors. Through the observation window, Daniel could see the water reclamation facility. Massive tanks lined the walls. Pipes crossed the ceiling, and everything was covered in a pale green film. Commander Yorth stood at the observation window with Telmori. Both of them looked grim. "Report," Nalia demanded as she arrived. "Viral contamination," Telmori said. "A pathogen we have not seen before. It entered through the intake filters and has spread through the entire reclamation system. The water is currently undrinkable. How long until it affects the station supply? We have reserves for 3 days. After that, rationing. After 5 days, critical shortage." Nalia cursed in her native language. "Can we purge the system? The virus must be eliminated first. Otherwise, it will simply recontaminate any new water we process." Telmori pulled up scan data on his tablet. The pathogen produces a byproduct as it consumes organic material. This byproduct is toxic when inhaled or absorbed through skin. Any being who enters that facility will be poisoned within minutes. Daniel looked through the observation window at the contaminated facility. His mind was already working through the problem. "What about hazmat suits?" he asked. "Our suits are rated for 4 hours of exposure. The repair work will take at least 12 hours. No one can survive that long." Telmori shook his head. "We have contacted 3 nearby stations for emergency water supplies, but they cannot arrive for 6 days. We need a solution now." Yorith's scaled face was hard. "Options. We could attempt remote repair using drones, but the virus has affected the electronic systems as well. Manual repair is the only reliable method, and manual repair is impossible because of the toxin." "Yes, Commander." Daniel raised his hand. "Show me the toxin data." Everyone turned to look at him. Telmori's compound eyes shifted colors. "Human, this is not coffee. This is an airborne pathogen that attacks the nervous system." "I understand. Show me the data anyway." After a moment, Telmori transferred the information to a nearby display. Daniel studied the molecular structure of the viral byproduct. He looked at the breakdown of its effects on different species. He read the concentration levels measured inside the facility. "This is similar to something we have on Earth," he said quietly. "Explain," Yorith demanded. "There's a fungus on my homeworld. It produces a compound called alpha-amanitin. It destroys liver cells in most animals. Humans evolved partial resistance to it thousands of years ago because some of our ancestors ate mushrooms containing the toxin." Daniel pointed at the display. "This viral byproduct works the same way. Similar molecular structure. Similar attack method. Are you saying you are resistant to this pathogen? I won't know for sure until I'm exposed. But based on the data, I should be able to survive inside that facility for at least 12 hours. Probably longer." The observation room went silent. Nalia stepped forward. "Daniel, if you are wrong, you will die. I know. You would risk your life to save a station full of beings who have treated you like a monster." Daniel thought about that question. He thought about the fear in people's eyes when they saw him. He thought about being sedated and restrained. He thought about the council members who wanted to lock him in his quarters. Then he thought about Bresk, who had only wanted to help. About Nalia, who had shown him the truth about his homeworld. About the thousands of beings on this station who needed water to survive. "Yes," he said, "I would." Yorith studied him for a long moment. Her expression was unreadable. "Physician Telmori, is there any way to verify the human's claim before we send him in? We could expose him to a small concentration of the toxin in a controlled environment. His reaction would tell us whether his resistance is sufficient." "Do it." The test took 30 minutes. Mori released a measured dose of the viral byproduct into a sealed chamber. Daniel sat inside, breathing normally, watching the concentration levels rise on a monitor. Nothing happened. His lungs felt fine. His nervous system showed no disturbance. His vital signs remained stable. When the test ended, Mori looked at his readings with the same expression he had worn during the coffee incident. Disbelief mixed with something that might have been awe. "The human is immune," he announced. "Complete immunity. The toxin has no effect on his biology." Urith nodded slowly. "Human, are you still willing to enter the facility?" Daniel stood. "Just point me at the problem." The repair team assembled quickly. They could not enter the facility, but they could guide Daniel through the work using communication devices. They loaded tools onto a hover cart. They gave him detailed instructions for each repair sequence, and they gave him a thermos of coffee. "For the long hours ahead," Nalia said when she handed it to him. Her markings were still red, but something else flickered beneath them. Something that might have been hope. Daniel took the thermos. "Thanks. Do not thank me. Just fix my water systems." Daniel smiled. It was the first real smile he had worn in weeks. The blast doors opened. The facility beyond was thick with green haze, the viral colonies visible on every surface. The air smelled bitter and wrong. Daniel walked inside. Behind him, the doors sealed shut. Through the observation window, a crowd of aliens watched a single human disappear into an environment that would kill any of them. Bress stood at the front of the crowd. His silver hands were pressed against the glass. "He is humming," the young Palaxian said softly. Urith moved to stand beside him. Through the haze, they could barely see Daniel's form moving toward the first repair station. He was indeed humming. Some human song that Bresk did not recognize. "He is not afraid," Bresk said. "No." Urith's voice was thoughtful. "He is not." They watched until the green haze swallowed him completely. Then they waited. 16 hours. Daniel worked for 16 hours inside the contaminated facility. He replaced corroded pipes. He scrubbed viral colonies from filtration membranes. He rerouted water flow through backup channels while the primary systems were cleaned. And every few hours, he sat down, opened his thermos, and drank coffee. The beings watching through the observation window could not look away. At first, dozens came to see, then hundreds. By the end, nearly 1,000 station residents had cycled through the observation deck, watching the impossible human work in an environment of death. Some came out of fear. They wanted to see the monster with their own eyes. Some came out of curiosity. They wanted to understand what humans really were. And some came out of hope. They wanted to believe that this strange creature from a distant death world might actually save them all. When Daniel finally emerged from the facility, he was covered in green residue. His clothes were ruined. His hair was matted with dried viral film. He smelled like something between rotting plants and chemical waste. But he was smiling. "Water systems are operational," he announced. "Give it about 2 hours to cycle clean water through the station." The observation deck erupted. Not in fear, not in suspicion, but in something that sounded almost like celebration. That Mori pushed through the crowd with a medical scanner. He ran tests on Daniel while the humans stood patiently, still dripping contaminated residue on the floor. "Impossible," the physician muttered. "Your toxin levels should be lethal. Your nervous system should be compromised. Your organs should be failing." "They feel fine to me. I can see that they are fine. I simply cannot explain how." Daniel shrugged. "Earth stuff, I guess." Urith approached. The commander's scaled face showed something Daniel had not seen before. "Respect. Real, genuine respect." "Human," she said formally. "You have saved this station. You have saved the lives of everyone aboard. The Galactic Trade Council will be informed of your actions. I just fixed some pipes. You walked into death and fixed some pipes. That is not the same thing." Urith placed a clawed hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You will always have a place on Harmony 9. I will make certain of it." Daniel did not know what to say. He was tired. He was filthy. He wanted a shower and about 20 hours of sleep. But for the first time since arriving on the station, he felt like he belonged. The celebration that followed was station-wide. News of Daniel's actions spread through every sector, every species, every corridor. The human who drank poison had walked into a death zone, and saved everyone. Stories grew in the telling. By the end of the cycle, some versions claimed Daniel had fought the virus with his bare hands. Others said he had eaten contaminated material to prove his immunity. A few creative beings suggested he had negotiated with the pathogen itself. Daniel heard the stories and laughed. "I just followed the repair manual," he told Bresk. "Nothing heroic about it." "You are wrong." Bresk sat across from Daniel in the commissary, watching him eat a meal for the first time since the crisis began. Heroism is not about strength. It is about choosing to help when you could have stayed safe. You had no obligation to enter that facility. You chose to. Someone had to, but only you could, and you knew the risks. Bresk's silver face shifted in a way that Daniel now recognized as affection. That is why people are calling you a hero. Not because you survived, but because you tried. The commissary was different now. People still watched Daniel, but the fear was fading. Some beings nodded as they passed. A few even waved. One small creature that Daniel did not recognize left a pastry on his table without explanation. Nalia joined them later. Her bioluminescent markings were calm blue again. She sat down without asking permission and immediately started critiquing Daniel's repair work. "You used too much sealant on the secondary intake," she said. "It will need to be cleaned in 6 months." "Sorry, I was kind of focused on not dying." "Excuses?" But her voice carried warmth beneath the criticism. "You did adequate work. For a human. High praise. The highest I give." They sat together in comfortable silence. Around them, the station hummed with activity. Life continued. Water flowed. People ate and worked and talked about the strange human who had saved them. That a new group of arrivals entered the commissary. Fresh faces from a transport that had docked that morning. They looked around with the wide eyes of beings seeing harmony. 9 for the first time. One of them spotted Daniel and froze. Then grabbed a companion and pointed. Then whispered urgently. Daniel recognized the reaction. Word had spread beyond the station. Stories about the poison-drinking Death Worlder had reached other places. Other species that he waited for the fear, the suspicion, the careful distance. Instead, one of the newcomers approached. A tall being with 4 legs and a face covered in soft blue fur. It stopped at Daniel's table and spoke in carefully practiced common. "You are the human, the one who walked into the death zone. I'm Daniel." "Daniel." The being seemed to taste the name. "On my world, we have stories about creatures who do not fear death. We call them spirits. Guardians." It bowed its head slightly. "I'm honored to meet you." Daniel blinked. "I'm not a spirit. I'm just an engineer. Perhaps. But you walked where others could not. You saved lives that were not your own species. On my world, we have a word for such beings." The newcomer straightened. "We call them family." It walked away before Daniel could respond. Bresk made a sound that might have been a laugh. "It seems your reputation is growing." "I don't want a reputation. I just want to do my job and drink my coffee in peace." Nalia snorted. "Too late for that. You're famous now, Daniel. The human who survives poison. The Death Worlder who saves stations. You will never be ordinary again." Daniel looked at his friends. At the commissary full of aliens who no longer feared him. At the station that had become his home. "Maybe that's okay," he said slowly. He lifted his coffee cup. The dark liquid steamed in the recycled air. Bresk and Nalia watched him drink it. They did not flinch. They did not call for medical help. They just watched because they understood now. This was who Daniel was. A creature from a category 12 death world who drank poison for pleasure and walked through toxic environments to help strangers. A human, and that was exactly what Harmony 9 needed. Daniel finished his coffee and smiled. "Anyone want to see what else humans eat for fun?" Bresk went pale. Nalia's markings flickered with alarm. Daniel laughed. Some things never changed, and that was perfectly fine with him.